Here's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if do I.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Right now on the Power Chord Hour, I'm talking to New York City rock band Komodos. The band is getting set to release their debut EP this coming November. They just released their new single, I believe, a few weeks ago at this point, and then they got another one coming later this September, very shortly here. We're going to talk new music with them, hear about the debut EP, and learn more about the band. How is everyone doing over there?
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I mean, we have the entire band here with us, pretty new band and everything. So to really, I guess, start out for everyone listening, if you want to like go around the room, just say your name and what you play, so we can kind of like, so like, you know, like when everyone's listening, we can kind of like tell voices and everything. If we want to like start, just go down the row and let us know who we're talking to real quick.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Taran. I'm the vocalist.
I'm Ben. I play bass.
I'm Hunter, guitarist.
I'm Gabe, also guitarist.
And I'm Kabir. I'm the drummer.
Nice, nice. So, I mean, I wanna start like I was just saying. I mean, first song like out at all. The debut single came out here a few weeks back. How's it feel to finally have some music out?
So good, honestly. We've had uploaded like a couple of demos to Spotify that we produced ourselves. But it's really good to have something that like we're very proud of out there. That really wasn't the case before this. So
yeah, it's been a long time coming. We were grinding in our home studio for weeks on end, and to have a finished product feels really satisfying.
How I mean, I know the band is pretty new. How new are you? Like when did the band actually form?
Like spring 2022.
Oh geez, you're really new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it's been in the works for a long time. Like we've all kind of been jamming together for a lot longer than that, but it was kind of a matter of getting the pieces put together and being all in the same place and with one common goal in mind.
How were you kind of writing music from the get-go? Like when you did start getting together and playing, I mean, was writing songs kind of the first thing from the beginning?
Not necessarily. I would say when we first got together, it was more just kind of jamming. And then we would find something we like jamming over and kind of turn that into a song. Now I guess we're a bit more intentional about writing songs, but at the beginning, I think it was pretty free form from the start, which was cool.
When you guys started, like, I mean, did you always kind of know what you wanted the sound of the band to be, or did that just kind of form as like the five of you were all kind of like playing together and morphing that sound?
Yeah, I think it definitely evolved as we were sort of playing together, everyone's styles kind of contributing to the whole, and then really figuring out what our shared tastes were, and just kind of, it took a lot of exploring, a lot of like trying new stuff, getting out of our comfort zones before we really kind of found our lane. But I think now we definitely have a sound that we can call our own, that we're excited to keep building on.
Yeah, we also had songs that didn't make the record. So like I think part of finding our sound is like eliminating those songs that we've written that like more or less for one reason or another, and it's kind of abstract, I think, but they just didn't really fit the vibe, you know.
I kind of like going off of that and like that idea of like finding your sound and stuff and maybe scrapping things. Were there any, like, even with scrapping the songs, were there any ideas that you would kind of find in those, go, okay, well, the whole song doesn't really work, but maybe this like little guitar part works, this little riff here or there, melody works? Like, did you take any of that stuff from those scrapped ones and kind of reuse them at all?
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like they're kind of constantly doing that. We definitely, I mean, we also have some stuff that we, you know, like just you asking the question, it makes me realize like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that from the songs that we cut that's like, we should bring that back. But yeah, I mean, for sure, there's parts of that we've cannibalized and like added onto other songs, like, for sure.
I'm kind of assuming, I guess I'm making assumptions here, but like that everyone's kind of coming from other bands. Did any songs, like ideas, come from like previous bands you guys were working in that you brought into this one at all?
Not really, honestly. I think like this is, I mean, we have played in other bands, but I think we came into this group with the intention of writing like original music like for this for this group in particular, so I don't think we really brought in other ideas from like previous projects or anything like that.
How about, I mean, we're talking like new music and everything, but like, how about live shows? Has the band been able to play much live? I mean, again, I know you're very new. Like, I knew you were new. Didn't realize like the band was that fresh. I mean, has there been any chances to play live yet?
Yeah, hell yeah. We've played 11 shows so far in the city.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we have our 12th coming up in September, but that's definitely been like a big part of our routine, is like jamming in order to play live. And I think the record is kind of a reflection of our live set in a lot of ways.
Have you, for those shows, man, like I mentioned earlier, you guys are in New York City. Have they been all like around New York City? Has every played so far?
Yeah, we basically played mostly in the Lower East Side. We played a couple in Brooklyn. Our last show was this past Wednesday. We played at the Mercury Lounge to kind of as a single release show. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like every time each show gets bigger and we get like more people. And I think a big contributor to the fact that the show was our biggest one was we went flyering, just talked to like hundreds of people, gave like just hung out in the park, basically saw who was interested, who would not be, and a lot of people came out because they liked the sound.
Nice. That's really cool, and it's kind of, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. I mean, this show's in New York, but we're on the way other side. We're like 8 hours away from New York City, but like with being in a place like that, I mean, I love kind of like hearing about the scene because it's kind of interesting. I mean, you're in such a big place, and I wonder like, does that? I don't know. Like when you have a place as big as like New York City, and I mean, there's so many different parts of it and everything. Like, kind of what is maybe it's hard to define, but like the music scene around there. Like, I mean, for you guys, are there bands to play with? Are there venues to play at? Like, I mean, what's that like for a like budding band in New York City?
So to answer the second part of that question, there are definitely venues to play at, and I think there's like, there are different levels to it. Like there are like your dive bars where it's relatively easy to book shows, and then there are like the more venues where they're more centered around the music and less around the drinking, But there are definitely venues to play at for sure. In terms of like artists, I think we've like slowly been finding people who our sound kind of aligns with more. So like in some of our earlier shows, so we're like an alt rock post punk band. In some of our earlier shows, we played with like this one dude who was like fronting with a ukulele, and it wasn't really our vibe. But like in our last show, we found these two super cool, well, more so the second band than the first band, I would say. But we found people who like are, in more in alignment with our sound in general.
I would say we're like still kind of breaking into the scene as far as finding the other bands that are like, I guess like who we would want like in a perfect world to like play our sets with. But I feel like we've been really lucky with making connections generally. Like we go to a decent amount of shows here, like in the city ourselves. Like through that, like seeing other bands play, like finding people that we want to play with. It's been pretty good. I mean, it's definitely like a kind of a constantly evolving thing. But yeah, I think just being in the city just gives us a very large pool of things to pull from, whether it's venues or other bands to play with, or even like people who come out to shows. Like the fact that we can just go to a park and like promote it is crazy, and like actually like reach a pretty reasonable amount of people. So yeah, I mean, being in New York definitely has its benefits. There's the flip side of that as well, where you're like another band within like thousands of bands in New York City, but like it is what it is. You make the best of it.
I mean, that is a really good point. There's a whole lot of places you can't just go to a park and find like people to like come check out your music and stuff. That's kind of I feel like that in itself is kind of special to like the area you're in. Is the kind of goal later on, I don't know if it's like short term or not, but I mean, at some point is the band's plan to kind of tour around, kind of like, whatever around the country and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. We want to get probably to start like a little tour with probably a more well-known band to open for them or something. But the goal is definitely to get around the country, spread the music, see what kind of response we can get, and hopefully go from there.
Kind of, you know, also, I mean, we're talking new music and stuff, but like, I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about like everyone's like musical background before this. Like, I mean, have all of you kind of played in bands around the area in New York and stuff? I mean, is any of this like your first band playing in this area, or all of you kind of come from different like New York City bands?
So I knew Taran and Kabir from our hometown. We grew up together, went to high school together, and so we had been jamming for a few years before this band formed, and we were influencing each other in those casual jam sessions. But I've only been playing guitar for about 5 years or so, like pretty much as long as I've known Taran and Kabir. I guess a little bit shorter than that time, but
yeah. I mean, I guess except for you, Ben, you've been in New York for like how long?
Coming up on a year. So
oh
yeah.
No, so we all actually just moved to New York. Like,
oh, nice.
Just over a year and a half ago. Yeah. And like I guess we played. I hadn't really played in a formal group before, so this is for some like going around like playing shows and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we all definitely were jamming and like playing stuff before. I think we all have pretty musical backgrounds in one way or another. But yeah, it's kind of first band for sure or first serious band that I've been for real.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. I mean, I played in a band with Gaby, but it was more just like a group of friends, and we didn't really have like a set of music. It was like people kind of showcasing their own songs that they'd written. And this group is very different to that. Like it's much more collaborative, and like we want songs that represent the five of us as a whole. You know, it's not something even close to that previous project. So yeah,
no, that kind of makes sense. I mean, you can have. I feel like a lot of people. It's like there's the the high school band or whatever, where it's like y'all just kind of screw around, do whatever. But I mean, like with you all, it's like obviously you're getting out there, like playing shows, getting music out, like an actual bona fide band. Like we're actually gonna like do something with this more than just like playing our parents' basement kind of deal. Yeah, seems like this one maybe bigger goals than that.
Yeah, we're playing in our own basement now.
Stepping up.
I guess like at least for me, Taran, Hunter, and Gabe, we kind of all moved here with the intention of starting a band and seeing how far it would go, and then we were lucky enough to have Ben come around. It's been a blessing for us. So
yeah, I helped in last. I found these guys on Craigslist. But yeah, I used to DJ more. I've played in bands and stuff too, but I would definitely agree with your diagnosis. This is like, in terms of like seriously like doing it, going all in, and having this be like what I'm like putting every spare bit of kind of attention I have towards. This is like the first time, and it feels fresh and just really exciting.
That's rad. And I mean, it's great to be able to like talk to a band like, I mean, you like, again, as fresh as you all are. So I mean, like let's get into like the debut EP and everything. Like where start out, like where was it recorded? Where'd you guys end up recording the EP at?
Here,
recorded like actually right here. Like,
yeah.
Very
so,
nice.
We're in our shared apartment of me, Gabe, Kabir, and Taran all live here, and our whole EP was recorded within these walls.
Yeah.
Nice.
We really wanted to get like kind of the live sound, capture how we sound at shows and such, and so we basically set it up so that we had like one amp in each different bedroom and mic'd it up there, but then we would all like stand around the drum set and like kind of play it that way, so that we could all just do it all like in one take, cut it straight from the floor, and have just that feel, which I think is what like makes this EP like super special, is that it sounds like we're playing it for you live.
That is amazing that it was recorded there. I mean, the big one I got to ask, because I mean, I've like talked to people like, you'll do some of the recording at home, but like a big one is like they'll end up recording like drums elsewhere or something like that. For recording drums there, I mean, was that the biggest pain in the ass of all the like recording? What was it? Was doing drums like that the hardest? Because that's the one thing I hear. There's a lot of like you can home record, but drums become a big like that's a hard one. What was that as difficult as it seems like it'd be to record?
Yeah, so basically we kind of set up a little sound isolation chamber with like a very DIY situation.
Basically all the blankets that we had to spare.
Yeah, and we have some like sound panels and stuff. But yeah, we kind of used the money we got from shows to buy a bunch of mics. So we were able to get a pretty good mic setup on the kit and a pretty clean sound, I'd say. Also have to shout out our producer, Max Harwood, who really helped pull it all together and polish it up. But yeah, liking the drum set was definitely an interesting experience.
I mean, props to doing it, because I mean, there's a lot of people who say, yeah, we recorded this like at home or in our home studio or something. It's like, you didn't record the drums there though. You're lying. The drums there, you can actually say everything was recorded there, and it actually sounds like truly recorded live. How how long was the recording session? Was this all done like in a day? How long did this all kind of take to do?
Definitely not. It took about like 2 weeks, I'd say, to track 4 songs. Yeah. So like, yeah, it was like a lot of, basically like once we got into the swing of things, had everything set up, it wasn't that bad to record, but we had a lot of tweaks along the way, and we'd like record something, sit back and listen to it, and then make it like iterations along that.
I think it also helped us with like in the past couple of shows we've had since doing that. Everyone's been coming up and being like, you guys were like good before, but now you're like so tight. And I'm like, well, yeah, because we were just like playing those songs just back to back to back for like 5 hours a day for 2 weeks. Yeah. So I think that helped us a lot. We wouldn't stop until we got like what we considered a perfect take, you know? So it was just a lot of iterations overall.
Jeez. Yeah. No, I mean, props for doing that. I mean, doing it that way and everything. And yeah, it seems like the payoff of all of it is you'd get real tight after doing that. I feel like it'd be hard not to. It'd be like really, I mean, you'd be doing something wrong if you didn't get done doing that and you weren't just like super tight on these songs. It seems like I mean, it seems like you have a setup there to do it. I mean, I know you're just getting ready to release this EP, but I mean, in the future, can you see this as a model for the band to kind of like, hell, we want to release more music? Well, we could just kind of do it this way. You see you guys kind of recording this way more in the future at all?
I don't know. I feel like we haven't even thought that far ahead, but I think what's cool about having the home setup is like that option is there. Mm-hmm. Like whether we decide to do it or not, like I think it's cool to have that kind of convenience of it. You know, like if we have that lightning bolt moment, you're like, oh, that's like a fire thing. I gotta record that like right now. Like we could do it if we wanted to.
Yeah, this record's gonna have a very raw sound, and I think that we really dig that. But at some point, we might decide it would sound cool to do something more polished and get into a real studio. So we've got 2 options, I think. But it's good to have the space at least to do demos and just like maybe lay some tracks down and see how all the parts are fitting together, and then perhaps we could get into a studio and record it live there in a more professional environment.
I mean, I got to give you credit too. I mean, the like after this, we'll make sure we play the first single that's out, but I've heard that one and then the one coming out in a couple weeks here. And I mean, both sound really good. And in no way would I be like, oh, that was recorded in someone's like house or something like that. It sounds good. I think it works really well. So it's like, you know, I mean, if you release more music that way, hey, it don't sound bad. It doesn't sound bad at all. How about
we kind of got the idea because we know some other Brooklyn bands that did it in their own apartment too. So we were like, well, this is definitely more cost effective. Mm-hmm. So we should give it a shot. And ended up the result was pretty good. So we kind of rolled with it.
The one question, I mean, I do have like just thinking about and being in the city and everything. I mean, is it like, I'm assuming you're rehearsing there and everything too. I mean, is it fairly easy to rehearse and record in your place, or are there people around who aren't like super understanding that they live next to a band? I'm kind of interested in that part.
We've had no noise complaints, if you can believe it.
Yeah, literally zero, actually.
Yeah. One guy tell us he would complain if he didn't like our music.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been super lucky, honestly. I would have expected to have more problems with that.
I was wondering that, like, yeah, like being in the, like, I don't know, I'm like, I feel like you'd really have to have some understanding neighbors. That's pretty nice though. No noise complaints. And if that guy hasn't called yet, I think 2 thumbs up on the, I think he likes the music.
Yeah, for sure.
How about, you know, earlier we were kind of talking about like finding your sound, scrapping songs, taking ideas from songs and stuff like that. You know, I believe if I'm not mistaken, there's 4 songs on this upcoming EP. did you record, we're talking about scrapping, were songs scrapped before recording, or did you record any other songs for this that ended up not making the cut?
We chose the 4 for the EP specifically, and we only recorded those 4. And that like involves some deliberation between like the 5 of us, and we do have songs that we play in our set that we're proud of, but we really just like thought we'd stick to our guns and choose what we felt were the strongest for. So yeah.
Right. Is there plan? I mean, I'm sure you'll have more shows and stuff coming up. Do you think you'll play like a defined like release EP show? Is that I know it's a couple months away. I mean, is that kind of the plan at all, you think?
Yeah, we actually have it booked already.
Oh, okay, so you has been you have thought of this already. Definitely.
It's going to be at this venue called Heaven Can Wait. It's right by Tompkins Park in the East Village. November 4th. I don't know whoever's listening if you're going to be around, but yeah, November 4th. Heaven Can Wait. I think we're going to be on at like 11 or something like that. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Is the EP? I mean, I'm assuming digital, but CD, vinyl, or anything else is it coming out on?
Not as of right now.
Wouldn't mind having some CDs.
That could be cool though.
Yeah.
We discussed the idea of like old school mixtapes too.
Nice.
More of an aesthetic thing than like a practical thing, but yeah.
I mean, you can always throw a digital download code in there. Just make a mixtape, throw the code in there. Like I'd buy a mixtape for that. I like the novelty of it. I like it. I mean, I know I kind of like talking about again, like being in New York City and everything, but like, do you feel like being in an area like that, does it surround you? Feel like the influence the sound of the band? Like, do you think your surroundings blend in or bleed into the music at all? Would you say?
Yeah, I think more than, this is kind of a terrible answer to your question. I'm sorry in advance, but I think more than anything, it comes in like the energy of the music itself. Like I don't know that we're really getting our sound from something in the city. Like maybe we sound like a little bit like some other New York bands, but I feel like more than anything, it's the energy.
I don't think that's a terrible answer. I think that makes a lot of sense.
It was a good answer.
Yeah,
Thanks,
don't beat yourself up. That was a good answer.
I mean, yeah, it's like I wouldn't say that that's the. Yeah, I guess the sound, the energy is kind of interchangeable. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we take cues from other bands who are sort of at a similar place that we are, in terms of like how they're reaching out to people and like what venues they're playing at. And maybe Taran can speak to this, but I feel like some of the experiences that we've had or that he's had in the city have contributed to the lyrics in a conceptual way. So I'd say in that respect, living in the city and being in this area has influenced the songs that are on the EP.
For sure. I think like apart from the lyrics, there's also like, there's an urgency to our songs that's like undeniable in my opinion. And I think that comes from just being in New York and like being in a metropolis where you have to grab people's attentions, and like at shows, you have to be, or at least you want to be the most energetic and the most attention grabbing because you want people to come to the next show. It's really all it's about. So I think that translates to our songs because the EP is a reflection of our live set, like 100%. But lyrically too, for sure. Like, I mean, I don't know if any of the songs, I mean, a couple of them speak to like my personal experiences, but a couple of them also don't. Like, and I tried to write them with the band's experiences in mind and just like what any like 20-something living in the city kind of goes through and like experiences. And there's like a philosophical bent to it that is my perspective, but overall, like I think a lot of people can relate to what we sing about. Yeah.
Nice. It probably, I mean, there's 5 of you, and in any band, like influences kind of differ from person to person. But like, what are some commonalities? Like, what are some influences that like the 5 of you, or at least most of the 5 of you, can like kind of agree on? Like, where do you all kind of meet musically?
We all like Nirvana.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, like Nirvana, like Chili Peppers.
Interpol, for sure.
Interpol.
I'm a big Lou Reed fan. I don't know if anyone
Yes.
knows.
I think we like that like slightly off-kilter sound, a little edgy, if you will. Like I feel like we all kind of agree on that.
Yeah. Like you should challenge people's ears and like satiate them at the same time,
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess it's kind of the difference too. I mean, right? That like kind of also shapes your sound. I mean, in one way it's like what you all like, but then another way it's like, well, only one dude likes this guy, like only one dude likes like this band, and then this person brings in this influence, and like, you know, you're kind of also bringing those things, I guess, too, that make you different. And then, you know, you throw it on in that blender or whatever of the five of you, and then you get, you know, you get the band sound, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's the coolest part about this group, because I feel like we have shared interests, but each of us kind of diverges in our own way. And when we come back, like, I basically listen to music like most of the day, and so I have a lot of different ideas that pop up. But like when we come and play together, it's cool to see those influences blend.
Personally, I'm a huge Flea fan, and like the other week, I took Kabir out to see the Chili Peppers in New Jersey, and I was just like, you see what Chad and Flea are doing right here, like the drummer, and like that's like we got to do that shit. So like, yeah, that was sorry, so that was like, yeah, it's really fun to like be able to put each other onto stuff, not just of like this is cool, but also like listen to what they're doing, like we can like do stuff in that kind of way, like and so yeah, it's awesome, like sharing influences and tastes and stuff together.
I mean, the band, you know, the band being as new as you are, you got the new EP coming out and everything very, very soon. I mean, do any of you like have set goals for the band at all? Is there anything like when you think of the future of the band, be it long term, be it short term, doesn't really matter, but like what you want to do with the band, what you'd like to see you accomplish with Komodos in the future?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think my biggest goal for us is that we stick together and we like progress, you know, like I don't want to be playing the same venues and bars in 2 years from now. Like, I want to be playing nationally for sure. But other than that, like the main goal is just to keep making better music and to find more and more people who fuck with it. That's really it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like short-term goal is just to start playing outside of New York. You know, like we got to start somewhere, and I don't know, maybe a little East Coast tour or something.
New Jersey's next.
Yeah,
we're just gonna like go down the line.
Watch out, New Jersey City.
A big old trek over to Jersey. That long,
Stone Pony vibe, maybe.
Ooh, nice. That's a classic right there for sure. You know, also though, you just brought something up, which like, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking of it now, like you were talking about, like in the next 2 years, you know, getting out, playing other places and stuff. Do you see like I guess it's less for you because, you know, the band's new, but like seeing other bands, is that a pitfall, do you feel like, for New York City bands, where it seems like you're in a great place for music and there's tons of venues and like all that stuff, but do you see ones who fall in the trap where you never leave? Like where like you never do grow because you almost don't have to, because you're not like, say, in the middle of Kansas somewhere and there is nowhere to play or anyone around, so you like have to get out? Like, do you notice that at all from other people in the scene, where that's like, I guess maybe the one like negative of all that, where it's like you don't have to leave, you kind of have to force yourself to get out of there and play different places?
I would say that it's not a negative. Like when I think of all the different bands in New York, especially in Brooklyn, that play in the scene, like different venues and shows across the city, like everyone is kind of also playing against each other. Like you want to be the best band in New York, kind of, but like there's also a collaborative effort in that vein. But I don't know, I don't see like people getting stuck in New York. It's not like a negative to me. I think the audience here is like big enough that there's interests for whatever kind of music you might be making, and I wouldn't say like you need to leave New York to gain success, because I feel like the opposite's actually true.
I definitely I think it matters. It depends on what your priorities are. Like we have played with bands that, I mean, we're lucky, like we're a relatively young group of guys, but we have played with bands older than us, even if only by a few years, and they only play in the city and they're fine with that. But I don't know if I would be fine with that, you know? And so I think it depends on where you want to settle. And I don't know if any of us really want to settle there. So yeah, I think it just depends on what your priorities and your preferences are, and where you personally feel like artistically and creatively satisfied.
As we, I got a couple more here, but I mean, as we kind of close out, and I'll throw you all kind of on the spot and we'll go kind of get into like other new music. But like with the year halfway over now, what are like some of your favorite releases, I should say, of 2022? Anything jump out to anyone? Or you think of like your favorite stuff halfway through the year now?
My favorite record this year was probably Fontaines DC's Skinty I just love their sound. I feel like it's really developed over the past couple of years, but I thought that was a really solid album.
I fuck with Horse Girl. I think their album was amazing, and it's crazy that they're like 19 and doing that. It's just really respectable. Yeah.
Anyone else? I know I'm putting you all on the spot. Anything that jumps to mind?
I think AC/DC had an album this year. Maybe it was last year, but their most recent album I listened to like pretty recently. It was amazing. It might have been last year. I'm not super confident about that.
Yeah,
forget that sometimes too.
Yeah.
I'll shout out Pseudo Bliss for a second. We played with them last week at the Mercury Lounge, and they've been putting out some good stuff. I think they just released an album this year. And yeah, they sound great.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when again, I know the EP is coming out in November. What is the actual date for people to throw on the calendar?
I believe it's November 3rd, if I'm not.
Yeah.
Or I think 4th is the show. I think it's November 3rd for the actual like Spotify release. Yeah.
Nice. No, and then also, I mean, this will be coming out. Ooh, I'm trying to look at my calendar. I don't know. I can't do it off the top of my head. Basically, it'll be out in like 2 weeks. You will have a second single out like a week or two from now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? The new single coming out here in September. Tell us a little bit about this next song.
So the single's coming out. We actually push it back. It's coming out October 6th.
Oh,
now.
Yeah. Very recent update.
Yeah, but the sound is like, it's pretty different than the first single. I'd say it's got more of a,
It's a little more psychedelic.
yeah, more psychedelic than the last one, and I think I don't know. I just love the melody in this new one.
Yeah, I think people will definitely kind of see a little bit of a different side of us in the second single from the first. Like, I don't know, we're still keeping the same energy kind of throughout, but definitely a little bit of a different sound.
Yeah, think brooding meets brazen. The other one was a runaway train, but this one is like, it's just got a different vibe to it that you're gonna have to hear for
It's
yourself.
like very sauntering, I would say.
Yeah, very sauntering.
Also, I like lyrically, I'm a bigger fan of the second one. I put more effort into the lyrics for sure. And there's some crazy shit going on. Yeah.
Was it hard at all? I mean, again, because we're talking about this is your debut EP coming out, and then this is, there is a single already out. Was it hard figuring out the first, and I guess this one too, the first two singles to put out? Was that difficult at all, figuring out like, okay, these are our debut EP singles? Easy or hard to do?
I would say hard.
Yeah.
I feel like we went back and forth on that like a bunch.
For sure, especially on the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think throughout the recording process, like we just got, like we kind of had an idea going into when we were recording what we wanted to do when, and then just as we recorded, we really, I think, just what we wanted to do became a lot clearer. Obviously, there was still some deliberation after the fact once everything was recorded. I mean, I say recording process, really production is process as well. So yeah, not an easy choice by any stretch.
Nice. Well, as we close this out, and we'll play the first single here in a second, but let people know. I mean, where do we find the band online? Where do we grab the music when it's out? All that good stuff. Where do we stay connected with the band?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're on Spotify, we're on Bandcamp,
Apple Music,
as well.
all streaming platforms.
Literally all streaming platforms. Yeah, when we release that shit through our distributor, we check off every single box. So wherever you get your music, will be there most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, Instagram, Komodos NYC.
That's true.
We'll be posting there about our shows and also the upcoming releases, and maybe some other like Nice photos.
Yeah. Next show is September 23rd at Gold Sounds in Bushwick. We have a super fire bill. Excited to play with some other like really cool bands there. But yeah, that's where you can find us next.
Yeah, I would urge anyone listening who's in the New York City area to come to a show. The experience hits different. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, if you're in New York City, I mean, keep an eye out. The band's staying busy and you're just getting started. So who knows? Even if you're visiting, maybe they'll be playing that night. Keep an eye on the band's schedule. You know, you never know what you're doing. But we will play some music right now from Komodos. Been great talking to the band right here on the Power Chord Hour. Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, the debut single from Komodos, that was Narcisse. I want to thank the band for doing that interview. Really, really fun. And they do hold the record as most guests on one episode. I have interviewed a few duos in my life. So, I mean, you could count those as full band. But as far as a full band of like, 5-piece group, first time, and I had a lot of fun. I mean, they were really great to talk to. And I think it's really special, too, to get to talk to a band that early on in their career. And that first song there is really good. I've heard the second song, also really, really good. So, I mean, be on the lookout for that debut EP coming out in November. And if you're in the New York City area, go check them out because it looks like they're playing a bunch and already playing some really legendary venues in New York City. So really cool. I think big things are on the horizon for that band, and I'm sure it's not the last you'll hear of them on this show, and I'll definitely keep playing them on the radio show, which actually this Friday is the 300th episode, and we'll air this interview here, and then like 3 hours of music and reminiscing and all that fun stuff. It's funny because every year we do like an anniversary episode on the anniversary of the show in February, but also you start hitting those landmarks on both the podcast and the radio show where you'll hit a 50th episode, you'll hit a 300th episode like that. So there's a lot of reminiscing a few times a year, and I feel like this is going to be another one of them. So a little walk down memory lane. You can hear this interview again. We'll also hear a ton more if you want to check that out. And then after that, we are taking a 4-week break. I've talked about it a bunch the last few months, but I am going to Alaska, and I'm finally going this week. I am excited to be leaving here. I'm recording this Tuesday night into Wednesday, and getting ready to leave and everything, and really looking forward to it. And I'll be gone until, actually, I don't know the exact day I'll be back, but basically going to take a week to drive from New York to Alaska, take a week to spend in Alaska, and then a week to drive back and, slowly but surely kind of get my stuff back around. And there's kind of like a week grace period in there for me, so I don't just get back from driving, 3,000 miles, well, probably like 6,000 miles when I do the whole round trip by car. But, what I'm saying is I don't want to come back right away and have to jump into this again. As much as I love doing it, I need a little break. So we'll be taking a little break. But I'm also looking forward to it because really when I do these breaks and I go travel and stuff, I do think about the show and I get new ideas and I think about guests I want, how I want to revamp the show, what I want to do with the radio show, what I want to do with the podcast, the future of everything. So it's kind of fun, but don't worry. We'll be back with more. I'll only be gone 4 weeks. And honestly, I've been pretty consistent this year, minus the we didn't have an episode for you last month, 1 week, and that was just having a bunch of really just bad timing with guests. But besides that, really haven't taken any time off. So tons of episodes to check out if you haven't went back through the back catalogs lately. I mean, tons and tons of podcasts to listen to on Spotify. We have the playlist from the radio show, hundreds of playlists if you want to listen to music, all that good stuff. If you want to follow us, stay connected. I'm sure I'll really be fairly quiet on social media while I'm in Alaska, but I'm sure I'll still post some stuff. So if you want to follow us at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com, and I don't know, make sure I didn't die in Alaska or something like that. And so that's going to be it, I guess, for the next 4 weeks. And I'll be back with another one for you. Probably the first one I come back will probably be solo, just kind of talking Alaska and my trip and all that good stuff. But do not fret. We'll have tons more good guests for you. And I'm going to think about all the rad things I want to do to kind of close out 2022 with the show. So until then, for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant, and thank you so much for listening.